द्वादशी डे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. शृण्वन्तः स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयन्तः भद्राणि विदुनोति सुरैः सतम्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भक्ति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 18 and 19. Atha मय्यनपायिन्या भक्त्या पक्वगुणाशयः पयास्यस्थ मद्धामा निर्विध निर्यादतः. Translation. Synonyms, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Atha, therefore, my unto me, annapayina, annapayina, without any deviation, bhaktya, by devotional service, pakva guna, free from material contamination, ashayaha, your mind, upa, yasyastha, you will attain, mat dhama, my abode, nirvidya, with being completely detached, niryat, from material existence, ataha, thus. Translation. Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, after you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contamination, at that time being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets, all as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead. Purport. By the grace of the Lord, the Prachitas were given special facilities. Although they could live millions of years to enjoy material life facilities, they still would not be deviated from the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Being thus fully engaged, the Prachitas would be completely freed from all material attachment. Material attachment is very strong. During one lifetime, a materialist engages in acquiring land, money, friends, society, friendship, love, and so on. He also wants to enjoy the heavenly planets after the annihilation of the body. If one is engaged in a devotional service, however, he becomes unattached to all kinds of material enjoyment and suffering. In the material world, those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems are supposed to enjoy all material facilities, whereas those degraded to lower planetary systems are supposed to live in a hellish condition. A devotee, however, is a transcendental to both heavenly and hellish conditions. According to Bhagavad Gita 14.26, a devotee's position is described in this way. Mamam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samti samati dhyayantam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. The devotee, a devotee is always situated on the Brahman platform. He has nothing to do with material happiness or distress. When one is strongly fixed in a devotional service and free from all material attachment, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature, he becomes fit to return home back to Godhead. Although, by special blessing, the Pachetas would enjoy material facilities for millions of years. They would not be attached to them. Thus, at the end of their material enjoyment, they would be prompted to the spiritual world and return to Godhead. The word Pakva Gunashaya has special significance, for it means that by devotional service, one is able to give up the influence of three modes of material nature. As long as one is influenced by the modes of material nature, he cannot return to Godhead. It is clearly explained that all planets in the material world, beginning from Brahmaloka down to the hellish planets, are unfit places for a devotee. Padam padam yada vipadam na tesham. A place where there is a danger at every step is certainly not a comfortable place. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, अब्रहमा भुवनालोक पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन माम उपेत्य tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Thus, there is no profit, even if one is prompted to the highest planet in the material world, in material universe, Brahmaloka. However, if one is somehow or other promoted to the abode of the Lord, he never returns to the material world. Text 19. गृहेष्वाविशतां चापि पुंसां कुशलकर्मणां मद्धा मद्वर्ता यत् यमनां न बन्धाय गृहमतः. Prabhu, you want to slide to text 19? Synonyms, translation proposed by Srila Prabhupada. Graheshu, in a family life. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Shama Hare Prabhu. We are still seeing verse 18.
Oh, okay. I thought like I lost the connection or what.
No, I don't know.
No worries. I'll go with the synonyms text 19. Graheshu in a family life, Avistam, who have entered, Cha also, Api even, Pumsam of persons, Kushala, Karmanam, engaged in auspicious activities, Mat Varta, in topics about me, Yat is expanded, Yamanam, whose every moment, Na, not Bandhaya or bondage, Graha, household life, Mataha, considered. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Generally, a person living in a family becomes overly attached to fruitive activity. In other words, he tries to enjoy the results of his activities. A devotee, however, knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme proprietor, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Consequently, the devotee does not consider himself the proprietor of any occupation. The devotee always thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the proprietor. Therefore, the results of his business are offered to the Supreme Lord. One who thus lives in the material world with his family and children never becomes affected by the contaminations of the material world. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3.9. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्ग समाचर. One who tries to enjoy the results of his activities becomes bound by the results. One who offers the result or profits to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, does not become entangled in the results. This is the secret of success. Generally, people take sannyas to become free from the reactions of fruitive activity. One who does not receive the results of his actions offers them instead to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, suddenly remains in a liberated condition. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami confirms this that Iha Yashya Hare Darshe Karmana Manasa Gira Nikhilasva Api Avasthashu Jivana Mukta Sas Uchyate. If one engages himself in the service of the Lord through his life, wealth, words, intelligence, and everything he possesses, he will always be liberated in any condition. Such a person is called Jivana Mukta, one who is liberated during this lifetime, devoid of Krishna consciousness. Those who engage in material activities simply become more entangled in material bondage. They have to suffer and enjoy the actions and reactions of all activity. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore the greatest boon to humanity because it keeps one always engaged in Krishna's service. The devotees think of Krishna, act for Krishna, eat for Krishna, sleep for Krishna, and work for Krishna. Thus everything is engaged in the service of Krishna. A total life in Krishna consciousness saves one from material contamination. As stated in Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Krishna bhajane yaha hai anukula vishaya baliya tyage tatha hai bhula. If one is so expert that he can engage everything or dovetail everything in the service of the Lord, to give up the material world would be a great blunder. One should learn how to dovetail everything in the service of the Lord, for everything is connected to Krishna. That is the real purpose of life and secret of success. As reiterated later in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita 3.19. Tasmat अशक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर आशक्तो है आचरण कर्म param apnoti purushah. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, or by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. The third chapter of Bhagavad Gita specifically considers material activities for the purpose of sense gratification and material activities for the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Lord. The conclusion is that these are not one and the same. Material activities for sense gratification are the cause of material bondage, whereas the very same activities for the satisfaction of Krishna are the cause of liberation. How the same activity can be cause of bondage and liberation can be explained as follows. One may get indigestion due to eating too many milk preparations, condensed milk, sweet rice, and so on. But even though there is indigestion or diarrhea, another milk preparation, yogurt mixed with a black pepper and salt will immediately cure these maladies. In other words, one milk preparation can cause indigestion and diarrhea, and other milk preparation can cure them. If one is placed in material opulence due to the special mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he should not consider that opulence a cause for bondage. When a mature devotee is blessed with the material opulence, he does not become affected by adversely, for he knows how to enjoy material opulence in the service of the Lord. There are many such examples in the history of the world. There were very kings. There were kings like Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak, Dhruva, Vaivashvat Manu, and Maharaj Ikshvaku. All of these were great kings and were especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If a devotee is not mature, the Supreme Lord will take away all his opulence, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead states. Yashyaham anugrahanami harishe tad dhamam samsanai. My first mercy shown by to my devotee is to take away all his material opulence. Material opulence detrimental to devotional service is taken away by the Supreme Lord, whereas a person who is mature in devotional service is given all material facilities. Dama Om Vishnupadaya Vishnupristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashrata Deshatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Assembled Vaishnavas, for giving me this opportunity to speak for my own purification. I'll summarize today's verses from the purport and commentary by Srila Prabhupada and senior acharyas. Please forgive if I add my own meaning or interpretation to this. So here the Supreme Lord is pleased with the devotion of Prachetas, and he came to give them blessings. And in these two verses, the Lord is explaining the parting the knowledge to Prachetas. So, in according to Bhagavad Gita 14.26, a devotee's position is described in this way: one who engages in a full devotional service and who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and then thus comes to the level of Brahman. So, how one achieves this? By understanding uh, two ways. Krishna says that Gnan and Vairagya. So, in this first verse, that focuses on to an extent part Vairagya part of explanation, and the second verse focuses on a Gyan part of the verse. So, we need to understand verses from the lens of both aspects. Now, detachment or Vairagya can is not about giving up everything, but it's about transferring our consciousness to Krishna service. That's called the true Vairagya. So here, although by special blessing the Prachetas would enjoy the material facilities for millions of years, they would not be attached to them. And thus, at the end of their material enjoyment, they would be promoted to the spiritual world and return to Godhead. So the material world is acting under the spell of the modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he should transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. And the Krishna activities are called Bhakti Yoga. That means always acting for Krishna. Otherwise, it's very difficult to transcend the modes of nature because we are always driven by one way or other the mode of nature, and we need to go beyond that essentially. So this also not just include Krishna, but his different plenary expansions such as Lord Ram or Lord Narayan. And Krishna has innumerable expansions. So if you get engaged in a service of any of the forms of Krishna or his plenary expansions, that is also considered to be transcendentally situated. One should also note that all forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge and eternal, Satchidanand. So such personality of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. If one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them very easily. Now, one just has to get attached to the form of either Krishna or form of Krishna. So those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets, they are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets. And then it is said that at the time of universal devastation, they are transferred to eternal spiritual kingdom, which is back to Godhead. So uh, here the path is that Vairagya means attach ones to Krishna consciousness rather than give up things. Second part is that it's a gradual process. So, uh, we should continue to strive to improve, uh, every day, every moment in our Krishna consciousness journey. And once we reach the stage, the right stage, Krishna will automatically elevate us to the right place. So, progress is very important. In the second verse, Lord gives us how to use knowledge to transform our consciousness. Right? So once you understand our knowledge, our reasoning behind something, then it's easy for us to accept something. So, for example, here it says, since one has to work even for a simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made that the purpose can be fulfilled. Now, the yajna means Lord Vishnu, or sacrificial performances, right? All sacrificial performances are meant for the satisfaction of the Lord Vishnu. Any other work done in the material world will be a cause for bondage. So, for both good and evil work have the reaction, and then any reaction binds the us. So, therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna. So, while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. So this is the great art of doing work. So in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. That's why when you take a shelter of our spiritual master, the spiritual master gives us a guidance and how to execute this knowledge and how to come to a stage of vairagya. And this practice will not save one from reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which can raise one to the kingdom of God. Now, if one is placed in a material opulence due to a special mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he should not consider that opulence a cause for bondage. In fact, when a mature devotee is blessed with a material opulence, he does not become affected by them, but he knows how to employ material appearances in the service of the Lord. And in purport, there are names of the kings are given. Even we know King Amrish Maharaj, even Srila Prabhupada, right? He used all his wealth in the service of the Krishna. So if a, and the other assurance is given by Supreme Lord that if devotee is not mature, Supreme Lord takes away all of his appearances and then give him the knowledge, and then again gives him the back the appearances when he's mature enough. So, in either case, one is on a path of Krishna consciousness. Lord takes care of that devotee as a gentle parent, right? As a loving parent who understand the maturity of the child and gives things based on their maturity. So that's why we have to very understand this very important that the vairagya and gyan, once we have this knowledge, things may not happen according to our wish and desire because Lord is playing a crucial role as a loving parent, and he may or may not give things that we want, but actually he will give the things that we actually need at that time. So we need to have that, develop that consciousness. That is only possible through Guru, Shastra, and association of devotee. So this is some general summary from these two verses. Please forgive me if I add my own meaning or interpretation.